Good morning, everyone. Well, we are into the heat of Holy Week. And as I was preparing for this morning, what was really coming to me was the historic passage of Peter denying Jesus. Not when he denied it, but when Jesus told him he was going to deny him. If you look at the various gospel accounts, you'll find that as Jesus is aware that his future looks grim, I know the gospel's position that Jesus knew he was going to die. But if you look at all the translations, I'm not certain that Jesus knew for sure everything. But he did seem to have a prophetic insight that things weren't going well, and that there were plots afoot, and that his time was coming to an end. And I think that we all have that kind of insight happen in our lives, that we have a sense of where our life is going at any given moment. We may not have an understanding of where it's going, but we usually have a sense. And since this person that we're looking into and being inspired by, Jesus, seems to embody so much light and insight, it would not be surprising that he would have a sense of the direction everything is going. And what's remarkable in all of the accounts of this last week and the events that are in his life, and again, we don't know if they happened all within a week. It could have been months leading up to the crucifixion. What we do have happening is Jesus remains faithful to who he is. And who he is someone who speaks the truth, who does not parlay things to make life easier for himself or anyone else. But he doesn't do it from this judgmental sense. You'll see in some iconography Jesus as the judge of the world, and he's got this severity in his face and light coming from his eyes and a scepter that he's holding. And I think that that is not literal at all, that it's true, because he sees so clearly that, almost like the Kali energy, he settles for nothing less than the truth. But if you look at these accounts, you'll see that his life is this way of holding all things with such tenderness, with such tenderness. He doesn't hold back on any of his emotion. He doesn't hold back on words that he knows needs to be said. He doesn't hold back from being 100% in service of humanity and caring about the sad events that are upcoming in his own life. He doesn't turn to inward. He's not dissipating his energy to outward. He gives me a tremendous example of what it means to hold all, to hold all without pretense, without posture. And in this passage, it's recorded in more than one gospel, but I'm taking it from John chapter 13. And Jesus has already comforted his disciples. He's actually already washed their feet, which is going to be part of our Last Supper ceremony, though we're not going to wash each other's feet, obviously. But there'll be a symbolic way we do that Thursday night for each other. But this is after this great example and outpouring of love. And Peter asks him, "Where are you going?" Jesus leaves them with a new commandment, he says, something to not replace the 10 Commandments, but rather to shed new light on the motive of the 10 Commandments. And he says, "A new command that I give to you, love one another." Love one another as I have loved you. By this, everyone will know what you are, who you are, that you are my disciples, if you love one another. And of course, out of love, Peter would want to know where he's going. Jesus has alluded that he's going away, and of course, any of us would want to know where a dear friend is going if we are being given information that we're going to lose them. And Jesus said, where I'm going, you can't follow, but you will later. Reflect on that tenderness. Imagine that these two individuals, Peter and Jesus, are standing before you. And Jesus has just uttered the most beautiful and powerful adage to live by. And Peter, filled with passion and anguish, wants to know where he's going. And Jesus, imagine Jesus looking at Peter and seeing him for who and what he is, seeing him in his limitations and in the way he's going to grow and expand. He sees it all because he says, you can't follow now, but you will later. And Peter, just so confident in his love. We are like that, aren't we? We're children like that. We get so confident in our love at times. Says, why can't I follow you? I'll lay down my life for you. And I believe Peter meant it. I know that I've uttered words like that and meant them, even if I have fallen short after I said it. And Jesus looks at him. He looks at him with such all-encompassing kindness. And he says, will you really lay down your life for me? Very truly, I tell you, before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. Now, if you're anything like Peter, you would have risen up to say, that's not true. I would never deny you. Never, never, never. But what ends up happening in the historical account is Peter does just what Jesus says. But when the cock crows, Peter awakens. His very failure breaks his heart open to receive the tender love of this instrument of consciousness that Jesus is. Peter sees that he is seen not as a failure, but as a work in progress. Can we let ourselves be seen with such vulnerability? Can we let ourselves be seen? So this morning's devotional is just going to be a very slow, poetic reading of the passages in John's Gospel that come after this encounter between Jesus and Peter. And again, they're poetic words. They're not dogmatic. They're meant to stir the eternal waters within us. So let yourself receive them. Let yourself receive them in a way that lets you and your own insight and wisdom land on a phrase that you can take through your day. So I invite you to close your eyes. Let go of all ideas, all parameters, all dogmas, all constructs. Let go of it all And let's sit like children who simply absorb and hear the words, for there is wisdom here for you and for me. Do not let your hearts be troubled, Jesus said. You believe in God. You believe in consciousness. Believe in me. In eternity, which is like a home, there are many rooms. And while I go away, I go to prepare a place for you. I will come and take you with me. You know the way. You know the way to this eternity, to this conscious place. Thomas, Jesus' friend, said, Jesus, we don't know the way. We don't know where you're going. And Jesus said, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes into these eternal places except through me. You are the way. You are the truth. You are the life. And your saying yes opens up to you the way. Remain in my love. Remain in me as I remain in you. You do not need to seek for awareness, for you can never lose what you are. And in the words of a mystic, she heard, remain in me, live in me, work in me, pray in me, breathe in me, love in me, reflect in me, grieve in me, not just for a day, but every moment. Let your remaining in God be an abyss that takes you deeper and further than you could ever know, that opens up horizons of belonging and communion and union, that awaits you like the sunrise upon the land or the bright moon in the night sky. All the elements are calling you to remain. And walking the solitary path leads you to the place of true communion. Let us for a moment in silence remain together beyond time and space and hold all of humanity that is in the throes of birthing itself. Let us hold all the failures in humanity. Let us hold all the glories in creation. Let us hold all the miracles that abound and all the denials, that everything may work for the good of consciousness coming into form. Let's walk in this remaining today. Let us realize this great potential within ourselves to hold all, to dismiss nothing, to allow the tenderness at the center of our being to be the way we connect with every human being and with all creation. Thank you once again. Have a great day, and I look forward to being with you tomorrow.